Today we got a guest. I got to get to know the legendary Coach Dugs. We talk sports, we talk the hobby, we talk Jacksonville football, and one of the funnier stories I've heard in a long time, how this man became the Coach Dugs. This was a good one, guys. This is a Hold My Ball podcast. Enjoy. Coach Dugs in the house. Listen, I'm going straight from the Instagram bio. You're going to have to explain. 3-time national champion, amateur bodybuilder. What are we, 3-time national champion?
Yeah, so we're taking it back to COVID. If you remember COVID, shout out COVID. COVID happened. I was hanging out in Jacksonville, live here, and Big Cat with Barstool Sports started there was no sports. There was no live sports. So he started, I believe he bought off eBay a copy of NCAA 14 and, just started a campaign. He made a fictional character on the video game. You can do a campaign as a coach, and he just went to the extremes of bald and fat and made this Coach Dugs character. And it was funny following along and everything. And then he transferred, or he took his talents to Tallahassee, which is where I went to school. And, as soon as I saw Dugs in the FSU gear, I'm like, okay, well, that's me. And so I put on my game day gear, put on my, my khakis and my polo, and shaved my beard and just took a picture and, tweeted out, identity theft isn't a joke, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And then we went to, he took his talents to Tennessee and LSU and Akron and a bunch of other places, or Toledo rather. And, I kind of went with it. Like I said, there was nothing else going on. There were no real sports or anything. Everybody was cooped up in their houses. And being down in Florida, we didn't really take it as seriously as a lot of other people. Our beaches were still open. People were going out and doing things. And so I took the chance to go on a few road trips. I drove to Tallahassee, got some real live footage of Dugs leaving Doak Campbell Stadium. And then that led to, took a road trip up to Knoxville. They showed me their, facilities and everything, got to meet, their athletic director and their head coach. And then went to, I figure if I can drive 8.5 hours to Knoxville, I can drive 8 hours to Louisiana when he went to LSU. So took a road trip to Baton Rouge, and we just had fun with it. He would play the games, and then I would just kind of make these, after game videos and stuff. And that just kind of snowballed. And we had a lot of fun during COVID.
Social media is quite the tool. I can create really a whole lot of anything. I love knowing that. It's not real, but it kind of is real. Yeah. It's, in today's world, it certainly is. A lot of it is real. I think it's as real as it is fake, but I love that so much. That's such a, that's not what I expected. And I'm happy that was the answer, because that's a lot better than a quick one-liner of why it says that. We're going to jump into cards, because I'm getting into this. I'm learning. Really, it's going to be me just picking your brain about this a little bit.
Sure.
But speaking of Big Cat Barstool, you were there. You no longer are. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. My contract ended, I think just about 2.5 years ago now. So I was happy to be up there and everything. I had a great time, met a lot of great people. Still talk to a lot of them, Frank, Large, some other people at Barstool, Stu for sure. But I'm happy to be back in Florida. I would have never, without that, I would have never, traveled or moved to New Jersey or New York City. So it was definitely a great experience, but I'm happy to be back home in Florida.
Yeah. FSU, big FSU fan. Is that where you went to school?
Yeah. So, it's a family thing. Both my parents went there. My older sister was a, NCAA record holder at FSU, for diving. And then I went there. Yeah. I've been going to games. I was born in July. I was probably going to my first game in September, October.
Wow. You're born there.
Yeah. My parents are alumnus. And so my Saturdays during the fall were just tagging up my mom had a conversion van where the back seat folded into a bed. We had like a little TV, we had a little TV, a VCR on one side, and a regular Nintendo, NES, like the old school Nintendo. And we would pack up the van in the morning. We would travel to Tallahassee, tailgate. And then no matter what time the game, if it was a night game, we were still on I-10 driving back, listening to Delilah, sleeping in the back seat.
What was the game? What was the Nintendo game that was played the most back then?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, obviously Super Mario Brothers or Mario Brothers, but we would play Duck Hunt. I still have not figured out how.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how, especially on a small TV, those orange guns. I don't know how my parents tolerated it, because every time you pull the trigger, it makes that loud click sound. So I don't know how. God bless them. I don't know how they tolerated us, but I still haven't figured out how they figured out where the gun was positioned and how it, they don't know where the TV's located or anything. I haven't figured that out, but we had a lot of fun with that.
It's got to be just if we look back, maybe it's just a random, you click the button, we're just going to give you some rounds are going to be real good. Some rounds are going to be real bad.
Yeah. And we're kids, so we wouldn't have known any better.
Yeah. It don't make a difference. I played that all the time. How's the family doing? I Googled FSU football, 13th in the ACC is the first thing that came up. How are we doing this season?
I'm very thankful this year for the Jaguars.
There you go.
Well, I tell you, after week 1, we beat Alabama, and it was like, we're back, forget about 2024. 2023, we got snubbed at the very end. 2024 was just a down year, but we're back.
Back, baby. No, not so much.
Yeah, it didn't work out. Yeah, so I'm very thankful that the Jaguars are 8-4.
College football is wild with all the NILs. It's a real shift in power everywhere. I mean, some of the main teams stay at the top, but Trevor Lawrence, your guy, obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars, they are 8-4. It's nice to see. I like that too. I like the Jaguars. I like him. I think certain teams I'm not a fan of, but I'm happy when they have success because I think they deserve it. They're one of them. They are one of them. All right. So Barstool out of there. Cards, the card game, I call it. What do you call it? What would I call it?
The hobby.
The hobby. Just like that?
Pretty much. Because it's not just, well, if you get really deep into it, the hobby would include everything else, TCG, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all that stuff. But for the most part, as far as sports cards go, at least on Twitter, where I spend a lot of my time, just, the hobby, if you're talking about the actual, just the full landscape of the cards, the people, the influencers, the wannabe influencers, the controversy, all that. Yeah, that would all be in the hobby.
Is it a crazy world?
It is, but I think it's just like anything else. I think if you go down to your local car show, you're gonna have there's the cool old guy that has the really souped up car, or the antique, and then you're gonna have wild people. I think it's just people in general. If you really listen to them, they can be very interesting, and this just happens to be people collecting little cardboard pictures of men.
When you put it that way,
yeah, I don't take it too seriously. It's fun. Yeah. I enjoy doing it. I have a small PC myself. I don't have a huge collection. If I pull a big card, I usually sell it in order to buy cards of players that I like. What's the biggest sell? What have you sold for the most? One card. The biggest one that I've probably sold would have been a 1-of-1 Superfractor first Bowman of Vladdy Guerrero Jr. So Vladimir's half brother. He got on I think in the Dominican League for the Mets. The Mets signed him to a contract, so he has a card. And I pulled his 1-of-1 Superfractor auto. And funny enough, I was using social media. The Tops had made a video of this super collector up in New York who had his non-auto. And so I reached out to him and we made a deal. But I would say that's probably the biggest one that I've sold. And did you pull that out of a pack? I did. Yeah, it's funny. So in hobby boxes or the kind of boxes you get at hobby shops, they usually guarantee autos. If there's it'll tell you per case, whether you're expecting to get one auto, two autos, whatever. And we usually, so at the shop I'm at, Showtime here in Jacksonville, we open it up so, you don't have to buy the whole box. We usually pack out certain boxes. Gives people a chance to pull something from a box that rather than spending, $400. And I believe someone in store had already pulled the auto out of there. And so, they were like, oh, it's a dead box, like there's nothing else in there. I said, okay, well, you can still pull cool stuff just because the auto's gone. In a lot of cases, you might not even want the auto. I'm personally I'm not the hugest fan of autos for a few reasons, but I said, all right, well, it's still a pack. You can still pull a cool card out of it. And sure enough, they had the 101 Superfractor auto in there. And I was like, that's, people call it last packs, magic or whatever, but, you never know what you're going to get. So why not take that last pack?
So you say like in a box, how many come in a box? Or does it?
It all depends. Yeah, it varies. So depending on the set, Bowman is owned by Topps. A lot of stuff is now owned by Topps. But Bowman makes the prospect cards. So it's guys that are in the minors, but they haven't made the majors yet. You'll get like first Bowman. And so in a Bowman box, you can have two autos. If you get a jumbo box, you can get like 4 or 5 autos. It's all dependent on the set that year.
Okay, so like you said, when you pulled that card, that auto, it was the last pack of the box, and the one had already been pulled. So is it a guarantee there's at least one, and that's most likely the case? And every so often you get lucky like you did.
Yeah, correct. So Topps will guarantee autos. So if you buy a box of, say, Topps basketball, where they guarantee, one auto, you're guaranteed that auto. Unfortunately, with Panini, who was still a big card manufacturer and everything, but they just lost the basketball license. They're going to lose the NFL license early next year. They're still going to be doing unlicensed everything, but with Panini, they always throw on there on average. You're going to get 2 autos on average. And so if you only get 1 auto, that's on you. Sometimes you might get 3. But with Topps, though, they guarantee it.
I see. That's interesting. And so do you work at, what shop are you at? Do you work there?
Yeah. So I basically run the social media, use the small following I have on Twitter and Instagram, and I would be up there anyway. That's actually how it came out. When I moved back, I was hanging out.
Tell me real quick, the name and location of the place.
Yeah, it's Showtime Sports Cards. It's off Phillips Highway in Jacksonville. It's one of the nicer card shops you'll find. The owner wanted to make it more of a memorabilia card shop. When you walk in there, it's not just, a bunch of singles or, just wax, that you can open and buy. The walls are full. The walls have photos from every sport that are all signed, all authenticated and everything. And so when you walk in, it really does look like someone's, personal man cave that they just happen to be selling sports cards out of.
I like that. I like that a lot. That feels like a good place to stroll into work. What's your favorite thing to collect? What's your favorite sport, or I guess whatever? What do you prefer to open?
So football for sure. Football's number one. Yeah. College football.
How many Trevor Lawrence cards do you have?
I might have about 10. That are not. I'm not a huge collector, so but I probably have about 10. 2 or 3 of them are autoed. Numbered under like 250 or so. But Trevor Lawrence's market, when he first came out, it was crazy because nobody wanted Jaguars cards, but then you have the number 1 pick and it's Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. And so in 2021, all of a sudden, all these other people are collecting Trevor Lawrence. And I'm like, you can't do this. Like, you can obviously, but look who you're hurting. You're hurting Doug's here because that should just be a Jaguar. You know what I mean? I'm not asking for a discount, but I feel like if you're a Jaguars collector and you're buying a Trevor Lawrence card, there should be some kind of give there. So all of a sudden, all the big money started, investing in Trevor Lawrence. So it was difficult to get his cards at first just because, and it was 2021. The hobby was still high off 2020, crazy prices. So thankfully I didn't buy too many at that point, but over the years, with where we've had our off years, I picked up a few.
Have you ever met him?
No, never met him. I've had a few chances. I think he's gone to Strings, which is like the Shad Khan, the owner, also owns this bar downtown, and they'll do like a ESPN night or whatever. They'll do like a Jaguars show there. I think he's done that once or twice. I've met a few other players. We have some signings every year. So I've met a few other guys. Parker Washington's my guy. He's the wide receiver 3 for the Jaguars. He is the sweetest guy. He came in, his mom was there with him, and he was just it. And I say this like in all sincerity, like it was like the water boy almost, where he was just like he was so nice to his mom and he was so nice to everyone else. Like he finished up signing everything. He answered all the questions. We took photos. He goes out to his car. He like walks his mom out to his car. And then he comes back in to like thank us again. Like, hey, thank you again for having me. And it's like, awesome. Yeah, like this guy's, and then he goes out on the field and he's catching touchdowns and running back, kick returns. And it's like, yeah, this is my guy. So I've got 3 of his golds, like out of 10s. And I'm excited to have those in my collection. Just it's nice to be like, oh, I met him. He's a nice guy and he's really good for the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's what I tell all the athletes that I meet. I'm like, I just love doing this because I would have never guessed this is where I'd be. I have no business interviewing a lot of people I interview, and I love the personal connection. I now know you. I've had a good conversation. When I'm rooting for you, it feels different, and it's cool. It's cool to meet guys and do that. I just like you said, Joe Musgrove. I owned a baseball facility here in San Diego, and during COVID, I opened it up to one buddy. I mean, this is like I'm in California, so they were ripping people off the beaches. It's like,
yeah, it was literally paddleboarding out in the ocean by themselves.
Literally unbelievable. So I opened up for a buddy of mine who was a big league pitcher at the time. He's like, hey man, I'm trying to throw a pen. It's raining. Can I just jump in the facility? I'll bring a catcher and my pitching coach. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That evolved into it's like this backdoor speakeasy of like 40 D1 big leaguers, minor leaguers. Like it was just a hangout every day. But Musgrove was the one guy. They were all very cool. But Musgrove was just like you said. He'd come in. He'd always make sure he'd find me. I kind of stayed out of the way. I didn't want to be, oh, hey guys, what's going on? But he would always say, what's up? And then he'd be a dog. Like he'd go to work in there, throw his pen. And he looked like he was at Petco pitching. And then some days he'd leave and he'd come back 10, 15 seconds later, open the back door, look around. Jay, thank you, brother. See you later. And I'm like, man, that's just, to me, like summed him up in such a way that like, you don't have to do that. I mean, but the fact that, because every other guy either said bye or just left or who cares, whatever. But you meet people like that and it is really cool to be able to root for them personally. I think that in social media, you're at Barstool and you now are doing your thing in the hobby. And it's like, these are the industries where you meet people you wouldn't otherwise meet. And it is very cool.
Yeah.
Something that is interesting to me that maybe because I haven't been to many of these in any world, but the trade shows or the card shows, the hobby shows, whatever you guys would call them, I see them. Conventions look like almost, and the big space, and everybody's got their vendors. What is that? It's obviously some networking, but like you go to them, correct?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. We host one every third Saturday at our shop. We can only fit 20 tables into ours, but it's a nice little local card shop. But it goes from that 20-seater or 20 table all the way up to, they have a national card show once every year. It's been Chicago, New Jersey, Cleveland. So it bounces around here and there, but for the most part, it's in Chicago, and they have it up there at the convention center. I can't remember the name of the convention center, but they'll have 500 tables, 600 tables, something like that. Or no, wow. that might even be too low.
Huh. That's crazy.
Just imagine a whole Chicago convention center just full of cards, and it's packed. So it's not just like, oh, there's a bunch of tables in here. Like, no, as a larger person, I have trouble scooting around because they make the in between so narrow. It's one of those things. I don't wear a backpack often, and this is just a quick shout out to all the big guys who don't wear backpacks. Thank you. People my size, you can't also be wearing a backpack and then stand at a card show table. That's just a little bugaboo I have. You're taking up way too much space there. You have to be size conscious when you're my size. You have to realize the backpack doubles your. Anyway, I digress.
Hey,
card
listen,
shows.
No, you don't. I can respect that, because one of my biggest pet peeves in all of life, in any facet, is a lack of self-awareness. I even do it with these guys. If I'm talking to a big leaguer and they disagree with me on something in the big leagues, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You've been there, you've done it. I'm not gonna pretend. So self-awareness is key. But okay, I guess tell me if there's different things that go on. So when you guys do at Showtime Sports Cards, when you do your every third Saturday, your convention, whatever you want to call it, is it the same exact thing, just a small scale compared to that? Or do you guys do something different, or are there different conventions for different things when it comes to that? And I don't mean sports and stuff, but like, you're going there to sell, you're going there to net. What is it all exactly?
So generally speaking, most card shows are set up in a way where the owner of the show, or whoever's putting on the show, the promoter, they're going to put out their tables, and then a bunch of individuals are going to come and fill those tables. So it's a bunch of different individuals who all have their own collections, or who all have their own inventory. So it can be Pokemon, it can be sports cards, it can be very specific, just like, like last week I had a table just all old school, like 90s Jaguars cards. Just fill, go in and see what I have doubles of, $3-4 cards here or there. And then you have some tables who are, they might have their own shop. We have a guy who has a shop in Yulee, and he'll come down for the card show, and, he'll have crazy stuff in there that's, well priced and everything, but it's high end stuff. But yeah, so it's usually a room, 20 tables to 100 tables, 200 tables, but it's kind of like a farmer's market, or an antique mall kind of setup where everybody just brings in their own stuff. You have different people. Again, going back to what we first started about, there's all these different personalities, and so you'll have the old guy who has this set, and he's confident that he has the best cards in the world, and he doesn't care about comps whatsoever. He doesn't care what the last one sold for. This is his card. This is his price. If you like it, you can have it. If not, get out of the way. And then I
like that guy already.
Yeah. And so you have people like him. You have people who are doing it more so on a business. They're not really, they don't really have any PCs or anything, but they know the market and everything. And so they're churning and burning. They'll trade a kid a card, or, they'll flip a card here and there. And then, yeah, so it's a wide range of different people, and so every card show is going to be different.
Gotcha. Do they section things together, or is it like you walk past 10 tables and it's like MLB, football, Pokemon, hockey, or do they kind of section it off to where it's like
they try and figure out? Yeah, we have a lot of people who are repeat showgoers, and so they'll figure out, okay, well, this is Jerry up front, he's got all his Cubs stuff. And so they try and figure out, where everything fits to make it more smooth for everyone coming in. We actually, the Pokemon has gotten so big that we're adding a second show. We've done it once or twice now. We're going to make it regularly in 2026. So we're going to have sports cards on Saturday and then Pokemon on Sunday. And you kind of have to now. Just Pokemon it has its ebbs and it had its ebbs and flows, after 2020, but every time it gets so hot, people are like, okay, well, it can't stay like this forever. And, we were saying that 4 years ago, and it's still crazy.
That is amazing. Let me ask this now. Somebody like me, I have a following. Followers don't always, actually, this, you've been in social media. They translate or transition over at any type of good rate, right? So let's just say I have 1 million followers. I don't. Let's say I do. And it's all in the baseball content world. And I wanted to get into the hobby. I wanted to get into streaming whatever it is, ripping packs. What is a way, like if I was asking you for advice on how to do this, what would you tell me? Say, start here, do this. What would the route be?
Well, and so I understand where you're saying the conversion. Yeah. Cause I got a lot of my followers from doing funny videos, mm-hmm. being a funny guy and kind of making content during COVID. So that's a lot of my followers came from there. So when I do card content, it's not hitting, I didn't build it up as a card page. So I understand what you're saying. I would say just do what you want to do. I don't know if it's the best advice, but it's what I've done. Just do what you want to do and put it out there. You're not going to have a large conversion either way. It's just a matter of, but it's something that if it's something you want to do, I would just do it and put it out there. And the people who like you are going to follow that along too. Maybe not as closely as someone who's also into sports cards, but I think people who have a large social media following can be multifaceted. And so I would really just do what you want to do. You'll probably, if you get into it, you'll probably get some messages from some of the bigger companies, saying, hey, we'd love for you to make a video and, sponsor us here and there. And, definitely take a look into that for, possible financial reasons. But I would say if you stick to just doing what you enjoy, especially if you're just coming at it like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I'm having fun, so I'm doing it, then you're not going to have any issues. I tell people when they're getting into the hobby, you can spend a lot of money real quick and you don't realize it until the credit card statement mm-hmm. comes in. So I would say figure out what you like, look at singles. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of boxes and rip a bunch of boxes, in order to hope that you'll get, a big card. Cause it is like scratch offs, you can buy a box and you can get washed real quick. It's just, that's part of the hobby. It's, it's a lot more, it's a lot easier when the boxes were only $100, whereas now they might be $400 or $500. But if you want to open a box, there is that thrill to it, that excitement. But if you're really looking to get like a PC, I would say, go on YouTube, watch box breaks. You can watch somebody else open boxes and watch them risk their money.
What's a PC?
A personal collection.
Okay. No, you'll see me looking down every now and then. I take notes. I could always go back and watch this, but I enjoy the live time. It keeps me in this moment of a conversation. So, I honestly, I think that's truly like the best advice, as simple as it is. Do what you want to do, because I built a social media following on strictly that. I don't know how to edit. I didn't care. My videos are as low quality, quick. Here's my opinion. Here's whatever. And I used to coach baseball in high school, and I would tell the kids at the banquet, in 2020 or 2019, I'm like, hey, you seniors, like, go get your degree, go do what you're going to do, get your schooling done. But if it's 2025, 2024, and you're not doing something you enjoy for a living, you're doing it wrong, because there's too much possibility. There's too much opportunity. I always used to joke and say, there's probably some lady that peels potatoes on YouTube and makes $1 million a year because people like watching her peel potatoes. That was kind of the joke. I would watch that. And see that and taste test them and go, this is a great Idaho potato. Yeah. So, and then I guess I never had no social media when that was happening. But once COVID hit, I started TikTok, yada, yada. And I became this guy who just says ball when guys are throwing 95 miles an hour and it's not a strike. It's like my thing. And I have kids text me. They're like, hey, coach, remember the potato lady? Like, you ever think you'd be the ball guy? I'm like, no, but point proven. Yeah. So, and I have a bunch of content buddies. They're like, what do you guys do when like a video flops? How do you deal with it? Because just all this time editing. I'm like, if I put out a 30-second video, there's a good chance from idea in my head to post, it took me about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So I don't give a shit if it does good or not. I'm good either way. But I think like this, if I were to get into it and try to make money and do whatever the best way is versus I love ripping packs. Let me start with, I'll be the guy that buys $40 Target packs and everybody watches because they want to see me get disappointed with not hitting something again. Like that might be my call, so there's a lot of ways to it. But I do love that advice. And I think it's cool. It's just such a huge industry. And the reason I think it's so unique is because it's both. It's very, very big financially. And it's also, like you said, the old guy that's like, don't give a fuck what this is worth. This is what it's worth to me. Like I collected all kinds of cards when I was a kid and I still have them. Unfortunately, Sean Kemp was my guy and I would trade Sean Kemp, give me that Sean Kemp card for this Kobe card. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, dumb. But it's such a nostalgic thing. So I find anything that has this personal connection that makes you feel good. I mean, that's 50% of it, where it's probably like, it sounds like you're more like that, but you also work in the industry. And I just think it's such an interesting dynamic to take something that brings such inside value to people and then putting a price tag on things too. It's very interesting to me. The whole, the hobby is interesting to me.
Yeah. And it's fun from a personal standpoint. Again, I have a small personal collection. I collect the guys that I like. And going back to, I think even if people aren't maybe not be into cards, if they enjoy you and they enjoy your personality and they like watching you, you're going to have the haters. They're going to love, they're going to love to watch you open a $500 box and pull jack squat. And there's some schadenfreude in that for sure. Some, but I think if people like you and they follow you for you, I would start there and say, hey, listen, I'm getting into this. There's a lot of people, well, they're not a lot. There are a few people that, they'll you see them 2 or 3 times a year, somebody will pop up out of nowhere and you're like, where did this person come from? And they're opening all this product and everything. And then you find out, oh, it's because they have a deal with, this company that's sending them free stuff and everything. And it doesn't feel right from here, but they bring other people into the hobby because they have their own audience and everything. And so there's, wins and losses, pros and cons to each and everything. But I would say just figure out what you enjoy, watch it from like a macro perspective. Or if you have some money to burn, if instead of going to the casino, go to your card shop, and figure out what you enjoy ripping. But that's how I did it. I've been collecting for a while now. I mean, I was collecting back in the early 2000s, and I kept going through, really got back into it back in 2017, and it's probably my way of just making sure that I keep my account in check, making sure I don't spend too much money. I can very easily, I can manipulate my mind to tell me like, oh, I don't like this card. And it's probably just because it's $100 card. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable paying $100 for it. So my brain goes, oh, you know what? You don't even want that card. I'm very good at telling myself that to make sure I don't spend too much money. But yeah, I would just figure out what you like and just have fun with it. And, don't get bogged down by, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Just go for it. And if in 6 months you realize I don't really like opening packs, or I have this small PC and that's good enough for me, that's cool too.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's great advice for anybody getting into it. It's just an interesting world. And I appreciate you letting me pick your brain about it because I love to learn things. I love to hear things. We talked about this earlier though. I'm going to shift gears for a minute now. I got 2 things left that this wasn't on the sheet for me to ask you about, but the hat. Let's talk some minor league baseball. Tell me about that hat, and then I want to get into this conversation a little bit.
Yeah, so this is the old school Jacksonville Suns J. That's again where I'm from. I got this. I can't remember what year I got this in, but It must have been like 08 maybe, because they were with they were in a Dodgers affiliate. So it might have been 08, but I got this sweet bucket hat. You know, you go to a game, they have all these giveaways. And so it does not fit my head, but I still like to keep it around.
And did that reverse to a Dodgers hat?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So they got the Suns logo on there and you want to pop it around. It's a little Dodgers bucket hat. But yeah, I'm a big minor league sports in general. But minor league baseball, I've gone on different road trips, traveling for a week at a time. What's cool is the minor league baseball schedule is Monday through Saturday, or Sunday through rather. Tuesday through
Monday's the off day,
Monday's their day off. So they're playing Tuesday through Sunday. And a lot of the teams, especially on the East Coast, a lot of the teams are only like 2 hours away from each other. And so you can go on a week-long road trip and you can watch 5 or 6 minor league baseball games in different cities. I have a big head. I wear like a size 7 and 7/8 or size 8. These are all handmade hats. And so instead of ordering the hats and possibly getting a hat that doesn't fit me, I say, why not? I'll spend a little bit of money on gas and I'll go on these road trips. And so I probably have 50 or 60 minor league baseball hats, from over the years. Minor league baseball, it's guys that are trying to make it, but it's $5 tickets. You go on a Thursday, it's $2 beers, $2 hot dogs, and I've never left a minor league baseball game unhappy. Like, you spend you can spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars going to these professional sporting events. You pay for parking, you pay for concessions, you pay for the tickets, and you leave absolutely miserable because your team lost.
Yep.
Or you can spend less than $20 and go to a minor league baseball game and you can have a great time. And if the team doesn't happen to win, you're not killing yourself. Like, you still had a great time for a little bit of money. And they're not going to do it again, but the giveaways and everything that they have at minor league baseball games, are you familiar with the Jets Pizza?
Yeah, I am actually. I don't know why.
So Jets Pizza, they have 3 locations in the Jacksonville area, and they made a deal with like a marketing deal with the Shrimp, this past season. So after every home game, if you were leaving the stadium, they gave you a ticket, like a free coupon for a free 4-corner pizza, which is kind of like, it's just a personal pizza, but that's like a $10 to $15 pizza. Well, the Shrimp won the AAA title this year. The Shrimp won the most games they probably have won in the last, 50 or 60 years. And
the Jets out of business.
That's what I was worried for a little while, because even like the first 3 weeks, they had won like, I want to say like 18 games or something, but like first month or so, they'd won like 18 games, and the only games they lost were away. They went on like a 2-week stretch of winning at home. So even when they were losing, they weren't losing at home. But so I would frequent Jets Pizza, and I would hand in this card after the game. And, I thought I was going to be slick. I figured, like, I don't want to show up. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of it. So I figured this is the dumbest idea. I said, okay, well, I'll just wear different hats, cause they won't be able to tell me if it's like as if that's my fake mustache. I'm like, oh, I'll wear a Tortuga hat today and I'll wear the Suns hat tomorrow. And the first time I went in, I was wearing a Montgomery Biscuits hat, and I'm like, hi, I'd like a, free 4-corner pizza, please. And the guy goes, oh, cool hat. Who's that? And I'm like, oh, they're going to recognize me now. I was trying to alternate between stores one week or another. But
wasn't working.
No, it wasn't working. They knew, as soon as I walked in, they were like, oh, yeah, we got you. But the first month I must have been the owner must have been at the register, because I was like, yeah, they're winning a lot of games. And he goes, yeah, if I knew they'd be winning this much, I probably wouldn't have signed up for this. And I'm like, I'm over here going like, yeah, I got a free pizza. And I'm like, I'm basically like boasting to the owner, like, you're losing a lot of money here.
Yeah. Back today. Here I come.
Yeah. It was great marketing. I do not think they'll do it again next year.
I was going to say, I wonder how the long-term investment's going to go for them. I will circle back to me saying that I do know Jets Pizza. I don't. I thought it was something else. And the second you started explaining it, I felt like LeBron James, just like, oh yeah, no, that's my favorite pizza place. I do not know what it is, but I do now.
You hold up a book, and your finger's on the first page of the book, and you're like, oh, I love this book. Yeah.
It is the best book. Yeah. I think that's great. I got two things left. I'm gonna ask you something that you were a big part of, and then I want to circle back one last question with the hobby, because it's a big piece of why we brought you here, and I'm curious about kind of what we just talked about, the difference of collectors and people now making money. And I have a question to kind of finish off with that. But first, I got to ask you about the Cracker Barrel and your involvement. You know, it's changed the name. So a lot of people were up in arms. They decorated a little different. And were you just leading the charge of the angry mob?
I wasn't trying to.
Are you the reason it changed back?
I don't know if I tell you what, I don't think I was the reason they changed back. I will say that I had an input in it. I wasn't trying to lead an angry mob, and I wasn't even really, I mean, I was that upset, but like, I didn't make a video like ranting about, you know, how they're destroying the country and like they're, you know, how like they're taking away my, you know, my grandmother's favorite restaurant. You know, I made a video. We were actually headed to the National Card Show in Chicago. So we were traveling from Jacksonville to Chicago, and we stopped in, I think it's Smyrna, I think is the name of it. It's a small town outside Nashville. And we went to Cracker Barrel, and I go in and I'm like, this isn't Cracker Barrel. Like it was too bright. And you walk in, they had added a second entrance. Usually they just have like the one entrance exit up by the poster stand in the back, but they had added an exit way on the left side. And when you're just looking into it, the dining area, it looked like any other restaurant that started after 2000. It looked like Applebee's merged with Panera, you know, or Starbucks merged with Chipotle. It just looked like a standard bleak thing. And I'm like, what is this? It was a 9-second video. My face isn't in it. I make no comments on the video. It's just a 9-second pan of the wall. And I just said, I'm at a remodeled Cracker Barrel and I hate it. I posted it. It's these little things. I'm being on social media. I'm sure you understand. Like
that's the snowball down the hill.
Yeah, and so it had a little steam. You know, it picked up and everything. It had like 4 million views, and people were talking about it. People were like, I don't like this. Anytime someone was like, I don't mind it, I'm like, Russian bot, like they're, you know, and I'm like, you're not real. Like anyone who's like, oh, I like this change, I'm like, I don't trust who you are. I don't know you. And so it got like 4 million views and kind of picked up. What really changed though was a week after I posted that video, they changed their logo, and they changed their logo to match everything else they were doing. It was just a generic logo. And that's when it picked up. That's when like all these other, you know, Twitter accounts started reposting it and, you know, saying, what is Cracker Barrel doing? So my video kind of, it hit a wall. But then when they changed their logo and Cracker Barrel was having, so this is how out of touch they were with like who frequents Cracker Barrel, like my kind of people. They had a promotional event in New York City to promote the rebranding, and they invited a bunch of like TikTokers to try out their new menu and everything. It's like, they have no restaurants in New York City. They threw a promotional event to like bring up like this new logo, and it's like, why you need to be doing this in like Charleston, South Carolina, or like Birmingham, Alabama. So anyway, they don't know what they're doing. I also listened to the CEO. She was on like CNBC or something, and she was talking about all these remodel, and she was just using like the kind of like HR language or like political, like politician language, where like what you're saying, like, I think you believe what you're saying, but it doesn't make sense, and I don't trust you. And so, yeah, I posted about it. It got a lot of views. Thankfully, they did change back the logo. It was funny. I'm pretty sure when they did start taking down the renovations, that they took down the renovations from the store that I had posted. It was like the same wall setup. But yeah, it was. I'm glad to have done my part, but the job's not finished because she's still in charge, and they spent like the plan was they were going to spend like $700 million, and I don't know how far through the process they got, but that's $1 million per store on this renovation, and if you frequent Cracker Barrel, the problem is not the aesthetics. It's they've changed. They've gone to Cisco food. Like they used to bake all the biscuits and everything. They used to bake the cornbread, and now everything gets delivered frozen. It's like, how about spending that $1 million per store on your food? You'd bring back a lot more people. Anyway, I don't know the business side of it. I'm just, as a regular guy, I'm glad that we at least stopped the advances of whatever they were doing. And I hope that in the long term, things will turn around.
Well, that fires me up. I aspire to be this passionate about something at some point in my life that as you were just now. I love that. Listen, I appreciate the time. My last question to you in the hobby, as we talked about earlier, it is such a mix of collectors and then a mix of corporate making their money guys. And it goes all the way down to the level, like, just like you, we just had a conversation. I would expect you to be irritated if 3 days from now you saw me ripping $5,000 worth of free cards and going, hey, it's like, just because it's like, okay, this guy, I just talked to this guy. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And now he's got an audience and he reached out. So my question is, for people in the business both ways, what do you feel about the direction? Is it fair to collectors or is it getting too corporate? How does it feel?
Yeah.
And where do you think it's going and gonna go?
Yeah. So 50-50 on the, I would be mad. Like first, I'm very empathetic, and it's like, make your money. So like, listen, make your money if you want to make your money. And also, even if you're doing that, you may still be bringing new people into the hobby who, even if they come in under, what some would consider false pretenses or whatever, but if they're introduced to the hobby and like they get into it and they actually enjoy it, that's kind of a wash. I consider that a win. Like, it's somebody who came in the hobby and is enjoying it, and like, that's what it's about. I'm kind of 50-50 on a lot of stuff, where I definitely have feelings towards it, where it's like, oh, it's becoming corporatized, or, like Fanatics is going to be running everything. And so it's a huge monopoly. And like, if you have an issue, oh, well, they run everything. So I definitely have concerns about that. But at the same time, I'm only on this planet for so long. I can only fight so many battles. I've got Cracker Barrel on this side, I've got minor league baseball, I can only fight so many battles, but it's kind of a, hey, no matter what happens, whether or not, it becomes all dystopian and everything. And I mean, you see, like, Tom Brady has opened, like, I think 8, and I think he has 8 or plus more card shops and everything. And so you see all these big people getting into the cards and everything, and that definitely drives up the price, because all it takes is a couple people with a few $1 million to start buying out product, and it just soups up everything, or slurps up everything from the little guy. But at the same time, if you enjoy the hobby, enjoy the hobby. So whatever's going on over here, still collect who you want to collect. It might be more difficult to collect, the number, like the 1 of 1 auto, because now you've been priced out. Okay, get the out of 10, get the out of 50. Maybe don't go for the autos. I'm not a huge auto collector, especially the way a lot of these guys, if you look up, when we're done here, look up Frank Gore Jr.'s autograph, or Abdul Carter's auto, even Caleb Williams. And I get it. Again, I'm always like empathetic towards, they have to sign like 20,000 autographs. I would probably have like a sloppy auto as well. But maybe you can't afford the autos. That's fine. Pivot towards something you do enjoy, something you can get enjoyment out of. You don't have to completely leave the hobby just because a couple millionaires came in, or just because one company is taking over a lot of it. Figure out what you like and just dive into that.
I like that. There's a lane for everybody.
Yeah.
Get in the car and go in whatever lane you prefer. I love that. Shoot, man, this has been huge for me. I appreciate it. Coach
pleasure.
Doug's,
thank you.
Man, minor league baseball, Cracker Barrel, sports. We talk the hobby. I now know to call it the hobby. That's one of the biggest things I'm taking away from this. I feel like I'm gonna belong in the introduction more when I'm like, oh man, yeah, you're in the hobby, sweet. So I thank you for your time. Good luck to you in the ripping. I hope you get some Jacksonville magic coming through the pack soon. But again, appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much. We'll let you get on with your day. I will. I'm going to check back in with you when I start ripping packs. You're going to be the first guy I reach out to.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you. Thank you guys for listening. As always, I appreciate the support. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, do all the things that don't cost you any money. Thank you, Coach Duggs, for coming on and sharing your story. We will catch all of you on the next episode.